Welcome to the Nonprofit Exchange Podcast. Stories by leaders for leaders to help you raise the bar on your own excellence, to release the potential inside of you. Now, here's today's podcast. Greetings, everyone. This is the Nonprofit Exchange again. This is Hugh Ballou, and my guest is a friend that I've known for, ever since I moved to Virginia. It's been about 14 years now. Michael Hemphill. He's, I guess, where are you today? You in Roanoke today?
I'm in Roanoke today.
Roanoke, Virginia. So I'm gonna get right to the chase here. This is the Nonprofit Exchange. We are helping nonprofit leaders and clergy think about really good, sound principles to run the organization and to fully achieve the mission and the vision that you see. So, Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself and your passion. Why are you doing this buzz thing? So tell us a little bit about the buzz too.
Sure. Well, thank you. Well, my background for about the last 15 years, I've been really involved with the nonprofit world here in Southwest Virginia and elsewhere. Kind of began as a career as a newspaper reporter, and then life sent me in another direction. And so been doing nonprofits, and really over the years really come to appreciate and value, of course, the work that nonprofits do in our country, the breadth and depth of work of nonprofits, from rescue missions and children's choirs to science museums, on and on and on. I mean, really, I think, providing the fabric that our country is built on. And so I've really worked to certainly working for nonprofits, but especially when it comes to this project of Buzz, what I've found over the years in working with various different nonprofit organizations is that as skilled and passionate and knowledgeable as nonprofit leaders are in terms of fulfilling the mission of their individual nonprofits, they oftentimes lack either the time or the expertise or the funding to properly promote their nonprofit through good marketing in order to reach more potential donors and volunteers and clients. And so this Buzz project is really an offspring of that.
Buzz, how did you come about that name?
So obviously, when it comes to buzz, you're always trying to get more buzz for your nonprofit or for the things that you are promoting. And so I just kind of came up with that. But the inspiration of Buzz is actually a project that takes place here in Roanoke, Virginia. Several years ago, the American Advertising Federation of Roanoke had an event they held every year called Create-a-thon. And Create-a-thon involved various marketing and advertising agencies coming together for a 24-hour period to help nonprofits with various marketing needs. I was at the time marketing director at the Science Museum of Western Virginia, and we had come up with this new fundraising idea. It was a 5K race called the Pi Miler Time Traveler. Now, why Pi Miler? Because a 5K race is typically 3.2 miles, so 3.1 miles rather. A Pi Miler was 3.14 miles, because we were the Science Museum after all. And then the time traveler part of it came about because the race actually started at 1:50 a.m. right before clocks fell back in the fall. And so by the time you finished the race, you would actually finish the race before you started. So we thought it was a pretty cool idea, but we didn't have any real marketing funds in order to promote the race to get other people to go there. So we submitted the proposal to Create-a-thon. This local advertising company accepted our calls pro bono, created a phenomenal TV commercial, got us some airtime on local TV. And by the time of that very, very frigid November morning where we had the race, we had about 300 people out there at 1:50 a.m. to run it. And so what I learned from that was that, it's obviously proper marketing is what drives a nonprofit, and that you could be fulfilling your mission as wonderfully as you can, but if people don't know about it, then they're not going to want to necessarily help you in terms of dollars, volunteers, or come and seek your services. And so over the years, that's kind of, that message stayed with me. And about a year ago, really started to came up with the idea of developing a TV show where the TV show would feature a nonprofit organization and the great work it does in the community it serves. But it really was in need of what I might call a marketing makeover. And so then we introduced in the TV show a local advertising marketing agency, creative people who come together and through good branding and all sorts of other marketing assets, help the nonprofit achieve more buzz. And so that's kind of where the project is now. We've developed a pilot episode of Buzz that we premiered locally in the fall. And we got a commitment from Blue Ridge PBS, our local public television station. Very excited about the show, and they want to air a full season of it when we have a full season produced. And so that's what we're working on now.
Wow, there's a whole lot of stuff there in that short narrative of 4 minutes that you gave us. So I was unaware of your background as a journalist, as a newspaper reporter.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a good background to have. I find that a lot of nonprofits are doing very good work, but they don't put their head around writing about it, creating the statement about the impact that they've had.
Yep.
And so part of marketing is, of course, segmenting it to the person that wants to hear it, but you want to influence that person to make a decision to then come and follow you, subscribe to your events, come out at what time in the morning? 1:54?
Well, yeah, 1:50 a.m. Right.
1:50 a.m. I ran a race in Dunedin, Florida, over the bridge to some island with my daughter. It was a midnight race. That's bad enough, but I have to stay up 4 more hours.
Florida weather was probably more enjoyable than Virginia weather in November.
Absolutely, especially in the middle of the night. You have to be a dedicated runner. So you got the word out, and there's those adventurous kind of people that want to be there.
Right.
Just to say that they did it. Was it like on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning?
A Sunday morning, right. 1:50 a.m. Sunday morning, the right before the clocks fall back.
Yeah. So that was,
and so so for nonprofits, always trying to find something unique, something that stands out from other events, perhaps if it's a fundraising event, and then ways to really kind of make that event shine and kind of cut through all the other maybe advertising or marketing noise, for-profit and nonprofit. That's really where the marketing is so essential for anything. One of my first nonprofit projects, I was working with a community to redevelop an old nursing home into a multi-purpose facility, and one of the facilities there was going to be a local YMCA, which we built it, and the director there, great guy, but very young, and as he was developing the first real health and wellness program at the Y, he put all this time into crafting a 6-week program for weight loss, lining up the instructors, the class times, the workout regimen. I mean, he had everything lined up, and he couldn't understand why no one had signed up for it, right? Just about 3 days before the program was supposed to start. And you look around, no one knew about it. He hadn't factored in the marketing side of things. There was basically just one flyer hanging up, somewhere inside the Y, but hadn't promoted it to the community. No one knew about it, so therefore no one had signed up. That was really one of the first things that, once again, you can spend all this time trying to fulfill your mission, but if no one knows about it, then it's really going to just fall on deaf ears.
You and I first met that was in Charlottesville.
Indeed.
And you and I first met, I guess, at the 4th of July picnic and fireworks and whatnot. And then you were around the table. That was the Mountain Valley Charitable Foundation. And right. You were around the table. It was somewhere in that time frame. We did some planning, several sessions. I believe we did some planning. One of them was for converting the firehouse.
Right.
Down in Elliston. So you and I have done some things together accidentally. But I remember how attentive you were and how you kept putting really good ideas on the storyboard as we were moving forward. So coming back to this, That's just a great idea. You finished the race before you started. That's got to be. I want to be there. I want to do that. I want to have the medal. So I finished my race before I started it. So you found you found a unique twist that one of my guests wrote a book on branding called The Twist. You put a twist to an idea so that it stands out. So what I want to unpack here is cutting through the noise and interrupting people's thinking so they really listen to you. And that requires that you have a statement of why this is important, and then a unique value proposition so people understand what the value is. Once they understand, oh, there's a need for this, then there's a clear value proposition so they know, this is what you need. So talk a little bit about that, because this is a historic problem for those of us we call nonprofits. One of my guests renamed it. It's not a for-profit corporation. It's a for-purpose corporation. So we got to make a profit. So we have to overcome the stigma of that scarcity thinking. So it's cutting through the noise, and how do we identify as a leader that's making things happen? So is that a clear enough question?
Try one more time.
Well, we want to cut through the noise.
Sure.
And it's about starting with why this is important. How do we get people's attention? The Simon Sinek start with why. And then what's the message? How do you craft the message?
Right.
It's going to speak to people, because you and I talk to so many people that are passionate about what they do, and they tell you everything about it. So what's the secret for cutting through the noise and getting people to listen?
Well, I think obviously the first thing is determining who you're speaking to, who is your audience, right? Mm-hmm. And so oftentimes I think nonprofits seem to start more internally with, what providing the message that's going to speak basically to the nonprofit leaders or the staff, rather than the, if a nonprofit, its primary goal or funding is donations, then their messaging needs to speak to donors, not necessarily to their clients, right? And there's a difference, or to their volunteers. If it's a nonprofit that maybe doesn't rely on donor charitable contributions, but more relies on paid services by the number of clients that they have, well, then their messaging needs to focus to the clients, right? Or if there's a nonprofit that relies mostly on, that maybe doesn't have basically their main need is volunteers, well, then they need to focus on that, right? And so there's that. And then also the medium, how are they going to tell their story? I've heard it described that we live in a post-textual world. No one is reading necessarily newsletters that come out that are, with article after article. They're looking for video. They're looking for photos, social media. And so you've got to make sure that you're providing the information, your messaging, in a format that is resonating with today's audience. And then, so you got the message, and then you got the audience, and then just how are you going to be able to get that message and that to the audience that you need. And that's where oftentimes it relies on some funding that is needed. In today's world, it's not very difficult to make a video or to get some quality photos out there, but then to actually making sure that you can get those to your constituents, that can be a challenge, and that oftentimes does require a little money or some very smart marketing. And that's, again, going back to the show, that's what we're hoping to be able to provide nonprofit leaders, not only those that are featured on the show, but those who are watching, some tips and tools on how to better engage with their audience.
Mm-hmm. I'm finishing up a year in a couple of months as president of the board of the Lynchburg Symphony Orchestra. Mm-hmm. And characteristically, they would say, we sent out messages, we put a message on Facebook, but nobody comes. And we would have a handful of people in this huge hall.
Right.
And we've switched to a renovated hall, historic hall downtown, but we've also put together a whole bunch of different tracks for the messages and package them differently for different audiences, plural.
Mhm.
So some people come, but different people come for different reasons. So the last two concerts have been sold out. We're doing a different kind of chamber kind of concert this time, so we got a smaller audience. But we have billboards, we have public radio, we have newsletter, we have email blasts, we have social media, we have word of mouth, and we have an app that we can push out. People give us their number, we push it out to people, called an easy card.
Excellent.
So there's lots of different messages. So we figure the average person in Lynchburg who used to say, "Oh, we have a symphony," the average person gets 7 messages about what's going on. And I don't know if that's enough to catch it, but they're very precisely targeted and very precisely worded. And we're filling up the concerts.
Excellent. Well, and again, 7, I think, is probably the minimum number of touches that you need to provide someone before they will take any action on the messaging that you're sending out. So, Facebook at one time was a great way to connect with your constituents. But now with the algorithms that they do, that it's much more difficult to reach your audience of followers and friends. But you're only going to reach, I think, 3% of them if you're a business or a not-for-profit, just with a regular post. So you've got to then, if you want to really connect, you need to inject some funding into that in order to boost it, or engage with an advertising marketing agency who can do that on your behalf. So Facebook is great. It's free, but is what they always say, you get what you pay for. And if you're counting on just Facebook or social media to reach your audience, to let them know about your particular event, if you're a business or a not-for-profit, you're going to be unsuccessful if you're not also backing that up with some money.
So what are the components that go into, we're talking about some of them here, but if you did a list, what are the components for creating an effective buzz?
Well, you actually just mentioned a key word, and that is the list, right? So, the list is yours. It's proprietary. It's all the people who have ever, whether you have your mailing addresses or email addresses, these are the people who have engaged with your nonprofit in the past. And you want to value and protect it, to your death, because you've worked hard to engage those people who are already engaged with you. And so using that to connect with them by email, letters, social media, all these touches are vital. So if you have not taken the time to update your list and get all that information factual, then please do so, because that is vital. I started a podcast as part of Buzz called Buzz Inside the Hive. And we interviewed one thought leader in this area. Oop. Oh, thank you.
So people on the podcast, we'll put a link.
Thank you so much.
You can't see it, but if people watching, you can see the buzz on the screen.
So there's one of the podcasts is Nobody Cares About Your Nonprofit, right? And that was one about 3 or 4 episodes ago. And it's a guy who basically says, through your successful marketing, that's the only way that you can really engage with your audience. But during that, he was really talking about the value of the list. And so that's key. By keeping that and making sure that's up to date and that you're constantly referring to that and reaching your audience, that's just vital.
And our sponsor today of this podcast is WordSprint, and we would be remiss in not mentioning the direct mail piece of this.
Indeed, right. Actually, Bill Gilmer of WordSprint, he's going to be my next podcast, because he was, we oftentimes, print is often, I think, viewed as the dinosaur when it comes to a marketing with all the digital and social media that's out there. Bill provides a very compelling case for, still the importance of print. And, with all the splashy and sexy digital and social and web email that's out there, actually having something to hold in your hands gives you that more validity. So that's still very important. And the mailing addresses that you have to be able to connect with your constituents is critical. I mean, you don't know oftentimes exactly who you're reaching if you broadcast on TV or radio or digital or social, but you know that if you have a mailing address, they're at least receiving something of yours. What they do with it at that point is sometimes up in the air. But so that's where print definitely still important.
Well, print with a plan behind it. And
Indeed.
his formula is 30%. It's the message, so it's the right message.
Right.
30% to the right person. So you have to know you don't have a list where the person that used to be there is dead, or whatever. And then 30% the frequency. So there's a rhythm called top of mind marketing. They remember, you tell them what you've done, tell them what you accomplished, tell them why it's important, tell them what you've done with their money. Then you ask for money. We too often send out an end of the year mailing. Oh, it's time for a revenue mailing, so we send it out and thinking people are going to jump to when they haven't heard from us all year.
Right.
So there's this relation piece. So how does the relationship piece fit into the buzz?
Well, and I think the relationship piece, that's where social media can play a huge role. I mean, you're able to stay connected with your audience much more easily and much more economically these days than you were in the past. If you have a passionate base of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter followers, then you're able to really maintain a relationship with them easier throughout the year rather than just relying on printed newsletters and mailers. So that's certainly one way.
Well, I see a lot of posts that people are pushing out. It's all about them. It's all about them.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, boom, next. So we want to tell people about the good work that we're doing, but there's sort of how do you get into social media is actually social, and
Yeah.
how do we build this relationship piece in the buzz?
Well, and that's where obviously powerful video and photos can help you out, and focusing on not you, but on the people you're serving. I mean, that seems fairly obvious, but sometimes it's worth reminding people about that. When you're pushing out stuff about your organization, maybe it's less about the photo with the donor presenting a check, and it's more about the children or the animals or the whatever the cause is that is being benefited by that check. Those are the people that you need to be focusing and featuring in your marketing.
So you started Buzz because you have a passion specifically for assisting nonprofit leaders.
Indeed. And not only a passion for that, but I mean, I'm obviously a huge believer in the mission of nonprofits, and not to go into a political bent here, but in our political atmosphere today, what's happening in government is very concerning. But meanwhile, we have these nonprofits that we can all rally around, and that I think are really doing the work of what it is to be an American. It's the nonprofits that are bringing community together, whereas other institutions seems to be tearing communities apart. And so whatever I can do to help that and to strengthen nonprofits to build better community, that's what Buzz is really all about. Mm-hmm. And also wanting to feature these individuals, these very talented individuals in terms of creative marketing folks who are willing to give their time and expertise in order to help nonprofits do more and do better.
So you have the podcast. Now, I had trouble finding it because I was looking for Buzz, but it's not Buzz that you look for on iTunes, is it? It's Inside the Hive.
Well, you can look up, if you just search Buzz and Hive on iTunes or on Apple Podcast or Spotify, you'll find it. Buzz Inside the Hive. Okay.
I kept bombing out with Buzz yesterday, but I finally tried Inside the Hive and it came up. But but you can also go to the website
Correct.
buzz4good.buzzsprout.com,
Right.
and then there's a link there to go right to the provider of choice for you.
Well, Buzz4Good.com is my website, and there's a page on there for the podcast. And then the actual address of the podcast is buzz4good.buzzsprout.com.
Okay. So Buzz for number four, Buzz number 4good.com. And then you can find out about it. So the podcast, how long have you been doing the podcast?
Started that in November, I believe. And again, it's just meant to be kind of an accompanying piece to Buzz, the TV show. Originally, it was meant to kind of tell some behind the scenes stories from shooting an episode. You know, since we've only gotten one episode so far, I've kind of expanded it to also provide just more marketing tips and tools for nonprofits, you know, interviewing various marketing professionals in our area on a particular aspect of marketing. You know, so like I said, with the word sprint, we're talking about print. Most recent one was with a web specialist to talk about the importance of maintaining and developing and designing website for nonprofit. Other episodes like that, and you can see all those on the podcast page. So it's meant to be the podcast, and then with the TV show, and really just trying to provide a lot of resources, marketing-wise, for nonprofits to succeed.
So there's a number of topics. I'm looking at your topics, video, getting the grant. No one cares about nonprofit. You mentioned that. Geofencing, retargeting, mobile conquesting. Oh my, how nonprofits can navigate the increasingly sophisticated matrix of digital and social advertising. Say a little bit about, in the mix here, we've got the paid advertising on Facebook or any of those social media platforms, or there's the organic. There's also SEO for your website that would bring in some organic traffic. And there's also Google AdWords. So Google AdWords can drive a lot of traffic.
Right.
What's the secret of getting a buzz in AdWords?
AdWords, I'll be honest with you, that's an area, this is why I go out and interview these folks for the podcast. It's because usually it's surrounding an issue that I don't know that much about. And so I feel like if I'm probably a little above average when it comes to working for a nonprofit and doing the marketing for a nonprofit. And if I don't know that much about a particular facet of marketing, then I want to go interview somebody about that. And so Google AdWords, the gentleman I interviewed for that geofencing, geotargeting, oh my, incredible mind when it comes to digital advertising. And he wades into those waters when it comes to Google AdWords. And so I recommend listening to the podcast, but specifically about Google AdWords is something that I need to devote a future podcast to.
Well, having delved into it deeply and I now, after hiring people that didn't deliver what I wanted, I now manage it myself.
Okay.
So with the Google grant, I'm spending the $10,000 and I'm getting specific traffic to specific places, but I'm listening with very open ears about, what is it you want to get people's attention, but how do you convert them? So you create a lot of buzz and people talk about it. That's really good. And they go home. We didn't make any money. Nobody bought anything. Nobody came to your event. So there's what we call conversion.
Right.
So you market, but how do we then get people to play a game with us? Is that part of your methodology? You were creating the buzz. How do we have some way to create tangible results from this?
That is certainly something that I'm a big believer in with the nonprofits that I have marketed. So, I mean, I'm moving really away from doing a lot of print advertising just because you don't know what that conversion might be, and really trying to, do more in terms of digital and social, where you can, track click-through rates and conversion points and, tracking those, viewers who are then, clicking on and going to your website, which page of your website they're going to. I mean, all that's definitely a direction that I'm going in. And, like I said, less on display advertising or even radio and TV, because it's more of a shotgun approach rather than, really, kind of some laser focused advertising that you can do in the digital world.
So with your background in the newspaper business,
Mm-hmm.
how do you advise people who have a story, but they really aren't very good at putting it on paper? How do you advise them to deal with that? Are there some tracks people get on? They've got all this stuff, but they're not really good at writing.
Well, and again, I think living in, as I mentioned earlier, this post-textual world, I think the ability to write is always important, but writing is not necessarily the only way to tell a good story these days. Maybe it's all video, maybe or just through photos. So I would not give up on that. What I would say is, again, figuring out who your audience is, and then trying to find what makes you unique in the world of nonprofits. Are you the animal shelter? And well, there are lots of animal shelters out there, but what sets yours apart? Are you focusing solely on, cats or dogs or Dalmatians or whatever it is? Are you providing, service animals to, people who are in need? I don't know, whatever it is, trying to find that one thing about your nonprofit that really makes you unique. And that so often is going to drive then what kind of story you're telling.
That's what I would call the unique value proposition. What sets your organization apart from all the others? And this would apply to churches as well as community cause-based organizations.
Sure.
It actually would be good for some churches to start being more cause-based, because they're no better than the government right now with all their fighting. So it's focusing on what we want to do for others. I think there's a real remedy with what you're offering for people to rally around causes. And if we find we have things in common, then the other things don't matter as much if you're working side by side with somebody in the trenches doing good.
Yeah, right.
So the Buzz was a concept, and then you've launched the podcast in November.
Right.
And how often does it come out?
Podcast is every 2 weeks. So we'll have one. It's been, here in the launch phase, just kind of more by happenstance whenever I get, one done. But now I'm trying to get, again, going back to that rhythm, trying to, create a rhythm of, all right, every 2 weeks on a Tuesday.
Yeah, we've had a rhythm of Tuesday at 2:00. We broadcast live, and then we release this on the following Sunday. And I can see a spike in the downloads right after that. Mm-hmm. It's like people are sitting around waiting for the next episode.
Right. Good.
So that's a good thing. And I know I've subscribed to podcasts and they don't come out and I expect, and I'm like, okay, where is it? And so I'm disappointed if I'm looking for it, because I got my people I follow. Let's unpack the TV show a little bit.
Sure.
What's involved in creating the TV show? It sounds pretty complicated. Do you have a studio?
No, actually, I am not the one producing it. So we started out last year. Again, was able to put together a team, all of whom were willing to donate their time in order to create a pilot episode. And the idea behind that was, okay, let's create what this, like I said, a pilot of what the show is going to look like, that we can then show to potential partners and funders who will then finance a full season's worth of episodes. So last year, worked with a local company who had a video production team that was part of its mission. Great job, called Click and Pledge Foundation. They just great organization in terms of their video production. They came on board. We were able to work with a couple of hosts for the show, because our thinking was that every episode is going to be a different cast of characters with nonprofits and advertising agencies. So we needed to have a consistent theme along the way. And so our two hosts were going to provide that. One, Becky Freemall, a local, very well-known TV journalist, former TV journalist, and now in the corporate world, along with a guy named Kevin Jones, who was an All-American running back at Virginia Tech in like 2001, 2002, first round draft pick by the NFL in 2000 and 2 or 3, I believe. Had a good career in the NFL, came back to Blacksburg, finished his degree at Virginia Tech, got an MBA at Virginia Tech, started his own marketing firm, and just a great guy. So the two of them were our hosts. And then, of course, the nonprofit was Healing Strides of Virginia, and they provide horse riding therapy for either children with developmental disabilities or all the way up to veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome or disorder. And so the great organization, but again, they weren't really able to properly promote themselves. So a local advertising company called B2C Enterprises stepped in and provided a $25,000 marketing makeover. And so that is all that we capture in the pilot episode was Healing Strides and this marketing makeover they received from B2C. About a half-hour episode that we premiered at the Grandin Theater in Roanoke in November. Had a packed house. And like I said, since then, the Click and Pledge Foundation has had to step aside. So now moving forward with a different production company here in Roanoke called Red Velocity. And so we've lined up the production team. We're partnering with the American Advertising Federation of Roanoke, which has a 501c3 themselves, in order to then now raise funds. We need about $350,000 to fund a full year of episodes and a full year of Buzz. So that's kind of where we are right now. Looking forward to wrapping up that fundraising here by summer is our goal, and then to start producing some episodes, because we have the nonprofits ready to go, and we have the marketing agencies ready to go. Just now needing the funding to get us there.
And you've got the TV station willing to run it.
Correct, right. So Blue Ridge PBS, they're enthusiastic about running it. They also believe or say that they can get it on other public television stations throughout Virginia, as well as other states around Virginia. So
I was going to ask you about the reach. So this is a national project. It's not just Southwest Virginia.
Correct. While the stories that we'll be telling originate in Southwest Virginia with the nonprofits and the agencies, we believe that they'll have a national audience. I mean, every community across the country has a rescue mission, or has a children's theater, has a rescue squad, has an animal rescue center, right? And so while they're all happening here, every community across the country, we believe will be able to relate to the show. And so we definitely, it'll start regionally, but there's a path for it to air nationally on public television stations.
That's awesome.
And not only that, but we'll also have it then on our local or our own social media through our YouTube and our Facebook, Instagram, and so forth.
That's great. So if people want to contact you, can I give them your email?
Absolutely.
It's Michael, and remember the URL is buzz4good.com. Michael at buzz4good.com. If people want to help you produce the show, or if it would occur to me that would be a great opportunity for corporate sponsorship.
Indeed.
For a corporation to put their name on this project. And also, Sandy's watching this. She's the magazine acquisitions editor. Would be a good article, maybe June or September. Once you get some traction, it'd be a good article for the magazine. And we'll try to promote this podcast to get it circulated. So
thank you.
It's an idea whose time has come, and it will from Southwest Virginia. I'm sure we'll have some traction around the country, because as I travel speaking to nonprofit groups, the issues are the same everywhere.
Right.
And you can't handle enough of them. Is there a TV show that you're modeling this after?
No, I mean, I was unaware of such a TV show. When it came to me, I guess it might be something like the Extreme Makeover. The show where they would redesign somebody's house who might not otherwise be able to afford it, usually in kind of some dire straits, and giving them a new house. So something along those lines. But so basically, this is like Extreme Makeover for nonprofits.
It's not like Shark Tank where they're getting advice or trying to get investors.
Well, I guess there is a Shark Tank component to it as well, because what you're doing is you're trying to better align a nonprofit to be able to reach more people and to really succeed in more of a I guess a corporate world.
Absolutely great. Well, Michael Hemphill, we're rounding up to the end of this interview, but it's we've packed a lot of initial stuff into this that you're a year from now. I'm sure you'll have part B of this story that'll be quite accelerated from where you are now.
That's certainly the goal.
What I know about you is you put your mind to it, you're going to make sure it happens.
Wow.
And you've really, what I'm hearing, I want to highlight is that you're not doing this alone. There's a lot of people have great ideas and they get burned out trying to make it happen. What you've done is put a whole group of people around you, competent people who
Yes.
have complementing skills. Like you said, I don't know this topic, but I have somebody that I bring in that does know this topic.
Right.
And so that's an important thing. That's a important leadership lesson for anybody to learn. So I like to highlight the really good leadership sound bites on the show.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And I need to make sure that I get the people around me who can fill in the other part. And I'm also a big believer in, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets credit. And you can certainly go farther as a team than as an individual.
Those are all really good sound bites here toward the end. I noticed the Grandin poster behind you in
Yes.
your office there. So I'm looking
Yes,
forward to
that
the
was
next
the team who brought together the pilot episode.
Yeah. Is the pilot anywhere being viewed online on your website, or they're clicked?
Actually, yeah. If you go to actually our Facebook page at Buzz4Good, you can see it's not the full pilot. It's a 9-minute summary of the pilot that you can look and kind of see kind of how the story will go for every other nonprofit that we feature.
We'll put that.
Or again, if you want to subscribe to, we have a very irregular at this point newsletter that goes out. Be happy to send that to anyone who wants to reach me through our website at Buzz4Good. There's a place where you can just enter your email for a newsletter, and I'd be happy to send you a link to the pilot. But like I said, it's also available on our Facebook channel.
When you film the episodes, is there a live audience?
No. I mean, other than the people who are participating, but no, it's not before like an audience.
Okay. I really like those makeover things because you're really rooting for, okay, this has got to come out of the ground, and all of a sudden, oh wow! But actually, aren't you helping people learn how to do it for themselves?
I'm sorry.
Are you doing it for people? Or are you helping people learn how to do it?
Well, it's going to be a bit of both. I mean, the marketing company comes in. For instance, in the pilot episode with Healing Strides, the marketing B2C enterprises came in. They developed a new logo, a new tagline, new website, a new promotional commercial, an Instagram page, and then they provided some suggestions on how to then take that branding that they have done and carry it forward. The branding itself is only part of it. It's then what are you going to do with it? And so that's where it then becomes kind of a teaching the nonprofit how to best incorporate the branding that they've been given in order to keep that buzz going as they move forward on their own.
But it's essential to have the branding so you can then effectively market.
Exactly, right. So the branding itself is part of the puzzle, but then it's incorporating that into not only your messaging that's going outward, but also into your values that are, within the organization.
This is so good. I'm going to have a marketing moment, a message moment for WordSprint, but is there something that we didn't talk about that we need to talk about before we go to closing out this really nice interview?
Not that I can think of. I think we've covered, the kind of the highlights of the project and the important points when it comes to marketing. Other than WordSprint is certainly a great resource. I mean, Bill Gilmer there, not only is he providing recommendations for the business that he can provide, but also just in general, some great marketing concepts. So it's not, I learned as much from him as anyone.
Absolutely. And we were just there Thursday. That's how I found out about Buzz4Good. That about the Lynchburg Symphony, he's doing our mailings as well as the ones for Centervision. So WordSprint is our sponsor. They not only print and mail nonprofit Performance 360 magazine, but they're very good at helping us think through how do we stay in touch with our tribe. So it's important that you stay in touch with your tribe, whether you're a business or a nonprofit. So it's top of mind marketing. What do they need to know? Give them the messages. What is your work producing? What's the impact of your work? Why is it important? And that's the relationship building, this constant communication with them. We tend to receive donations and then say thank you, and then until next year, we don't send another letter. So it's really important to let people know what's happening. So it's a piece of mail in their hand. It's tangible. And Bill has so many good systems and knows how to advise you how to do it. So wordsprint.com. Bill Gilbert and his team will be glad to help you. So Michael, as we round out this interview, what do you want to leave people with? Do you have a final thought or a tip?
Well, in terms of what I'm doing, I would just love for them to stay connected with us on Buzz by going to our website, subscribe to our newsletter. I promise it is not a spam feature. It is something that you might receive once every 2 to 4 weeks with an update about the project. We'd just love to keep you engaged. If you are a nonprofit and would like to be considered, for the show once we get the production going, would love to hear from you there. If you have any marketing resources and want to appear on that end as far as and someone who's helping with the show or helping a nonprofit, let me know about that. And obviously, if you are believe in it and maybe have a foundation or a corporation interested in helping with the production cost, get in touch with me as well.
That's worthy. So Michael at buzz4good.com. The website is buzz4good and number4.com. And you can stay in touch there and go find Buzz4Good on Facebook. And it's an open group. They can join your group on Facebook.
Indeed. Yes.
Great. Well, Michael Hemphill, it's a worthy cause. Thank you for championing that and what you're bringing to the world. And thank you for telling the story on the nonprofit exchange today.
Hugh, thank you so much, my friend.